Imagine this. At 8:30 on a Saturday morning, you find yourself right in the middle of the New York Mercantile Exchange. The men in silk ties, on the other hand, hold their breath as a chilly number flashes over the Bloomberg terminal. Over the past 18 months, public warehouses have lost 93% of the registered silver that was ready for rapid delivery. The market has not experienced its usual correction. This is the epicenter of a massive theft of assets, whereby the Western banking system is being drained of actual metal at a rate not seen in 20 years. What I am going to tell you is not idle chatter from social media, so please, put the TV down, close all other tabs in your browser, and pay attentive attention. The link between the realm of paper money and the actual world is breaking, and those who has worked their whole lives to accumulate funds must know this. Despite complicated algorithms preventing physical stores from selling silver for more than $30 per ounce on electronic screens, actual buyers are willing to pay premiums of up to 40% and wait weeks to handle a physical silver bar. To those who cherish wisdom and loathe chaos, we welcome you back. Let us not waste our time talking about the meaningless waltz of green and red charts. Our mission is to conduct an internal examination of a collapsing monetary system. Please tell me from what vantage point you are observing this before we go into the forensic proof of the covert capital shifts by large banks in Singapore, New York, or London, or someplace else. To help us gauge the scope of this disaster, please share your location in the space provided. As we delve further into the forensic investigation, we will be analyzing backwardation, a concept that central banks would like you never grasp. The storage and insurance expenses cause the price for future delivery to always be greater than the current price in a well-functioning market. But the chart is currently upside down. There has been a price differential between silver's future and spot prices. A red alert has been sent out, indicating that the system is critically low on physical metal. Rather than relying on a written guarantee, industrial companies are prepared to pay a premium to have the silver in their possession today. Take a look at that horrifying 356.1 leverage ratio. That equates to 356 Oz of paper silver being traded for every Oz of physical silver stored in the Comex vaults. Playing musical chairs is a worldwide phenomenon. There will be 355 individuals with nothing but useless paper shreds when the music stops, and everyone simultaneously wants their tangible delivery. Financial behemoths like Deutsche Bank, JP Morgan, and HSBC are leaving their imprints on this market upheaval. For whatever reason, these notoriously short-selling and suppressive financial firms are now rushing to change their views on silver. They are transferring thousands of tons of silver from registered vaults to eligible status, according to internal statistics. Put simply, they are removing silver from public view and storing it in secret bunkers. Changing the price to make more money in trading fees is no longer something they care about. Their stockpiling is preparing for a complete breakdown of finance. This is not just conjecture. Smart money is moving in this direction before the storm. Those who have attempted to corner this market in the past have left historical fingerprints that can shed light on the current fracture's size. While events may not repeat themselves, they tend to echo during times of crises. Remembering that the Hunt brothers tried to acquire all of the world's silver in 1980, they were quite ambitious. At one point, they were almost successful in raising the price to $50 Oz, which was extremely high for the time. However, the system put up a fight. The Hunts were ruined when the rules of Madame were amended in the exchanges, which led to a liquidation. Having said that, a lot has changed since 1980. There was a huge strategic silver reserve held by the US government back then. We depleted that supply today. In the latter part of the 20th century, it was rented out, sold, or eaten by machines. We are bracing ourselves financially for the impending storm. Also lingering in these graphs are specters of the financial meltdown of 2008. There was a comparable disconnection when the paper price fell amid the first panic. Real silver coins, however, were unavailable at prices lower than twice the spot price. The first big red flag that digital screens are deceitful appeared at that moment. The most terrifying analogy, though, is the silver run of 2011, when the commodity again approached $50 per ounce. An unexpectedly large influx of paper buyers during the wee hours of the morning buried that peak. The bullion banks intervened strategically in order to safeguard the fiat system's solvency. These tactical measures, however, are becoming less effective, according to forensic evidence. Although additional paper contracts can be printed, the silver atoms needed to settle them cannot be printed. Now we have to watch the world's power dynamics, the East versus the West, move like tectonic plates. The paper markets in New York and London have controlled the silver price for the past 100 years. There will be a change in that period, though. From the debt world to the goods world, power is shifting. The Shanghai Gold Exchange is China's conduit for the systematic looting of Western vaults. Paper will not be sold to them. Bars are being purchased in tangible form and sent to the East. The BRICS countries, South Africa, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, are aware of something the West has neglected. A foundation of unbacked currency cannot be laid upon to establish a high-tech empire. Restrictions on exports of key metals are being tightened by China, the world's top user of silver at present. Their actions reflect a future in which control over one's own resources is the sole legitimate source of authority. The Federal Reserve's interest rate changes and verbal interventions are still part of economic management, but the East is taking charge by ensuring the physical components of economic growth. There is complete quiet while we observe a huge transfer of riches. Stock market volatility and breaking news out of Washington are diverting Western investors' attention. Silently being offshored is the silver needed for every circuit board and solar panel, which is the basic bedrock of industrial society. Not a mere trade, but a siege. As a result of the East's draining of the Comex and LBMA vaults, the Western financial systems are losing their capacity to control prices. The paper market is just that, a fantasy, once the physical stock hits zero. Here, the delivery default scenario is what we refer to. A computer in Manhattan will no longer decide the price when a large industrial customer demands delivery of 5 million ounces and the exchange admits the vault is empty. Whoever gets their hands on the metal will know for sure. The 356.1 leverage ratio, which we covered before, is the trigger for this geopolitical detonation. Two guys were all that made up the hunts in 1980. These days, the shorters have to contend with both the centralized might of the world's leading developing economies and a dispersed army of individual investors. A pincer movement has ensnared the bullion banks. One argument is that they need to keep prices low to stop people from fleeing the dollar. Conversely, the faster they drive the price down, the quicker the vaults will be emptied of physical silver, as the East finds it irresistibly inexpensive. They have created this feedback loop for themselves and are now stuck in it. We can't turn back the hands of time now. A shift from JIT inventory management to JIT hoarding is underway. Manufacturers used to wait until they needed silver before placing an order. With the vaults now 93% full, every big electronics and green energy company is recognizing they have to fight with central banks for what's left. The days of plentiful, low-priced silver are long gone, crushed under the heel of decades of manipulating prices. The digital price you see on your screen is just a specter of a long-gone system. The tangible premium era has here. The next step is to investigate the manufacturing environment where the silver is genuinely lost. Silver is merely a commodity that the typical investor associates with jewelry or coins. Forensic analysts view silver as an indispensable, non-replaceable industrial catalyst. Now that we're in the physics-driven global arms race era, the demand for this metal is driven by cold, hard facts, not sentiment. The green energy transition is the principal driver of this depletion. Therefore, let's examine it first. About 20 grams of silver is needed for one solar panel. Considering that the world installs more than 400 gigawatt of solar capacity every year, that might not seem like much. Presently, this one sector accounts for approximately 20% of the world's total mining production of silver, or more than 190 million ounces annually. Instead of silver, the engineers attempted to use copper or aluminum. The panels are inefficient and not commercially viable due to the loss of electrical conductivity. Silver reigns supreme in the realm of high-voltage energy. By encasing it in glass and mounting it on rooftops for the next quarter of a century, we are essentially consuming our silver supply, taking it out of circulation. Furthermore, we need to consider the modern world's digital nervous system, which relies on silver in every semiconductor, 5G base station, and server rack that powers the AI revolution. Velocity is paramount in the realm of artificial intelligence. High-performance CPUs developed by firms like NVIDIA and AMD rely on silver as a key component due to its exceptional thermal and electrical conductivity. The industrial demand for silver is growing at an unsustainable rate, driven by the doubling of data processing power every few months. Industrial silver is frequently utilized in such minute amounts per device that it becomes economically unfeasible to reclaim, in contrast to gold, which is meticulously recycled and kept in bars. When we dispose of our old devices in landfills, we are essentially disposing of our financial future. Concerning this inquiry, the military-industrial complex is the most delicate subject. Metals such as silver are strategically important for warfare. Tomahawk cruise missile guidance systems, nuclear submarine batteries, and fighter jet radar arrays all make use of it. Almost 15 kilograms of silver is contained in a single cruise missile. The Department of Defense and its international equivalents are clandestinely vying for the same diminishing silver reserves that can be seen on the Comex in a world where geopolitical tensions are rising and armament stocks are disappearing in the Middle East and Europe. Price has no bearing on a nation at war. The private investor will be further squeezed out of the market as they will spend whatever is necessary to get the components of their armament. We can shift our focus to the bullion dealers now, who are at the forefront of the retail sector. There is a climate of controlled panic if you visit a large dealer in Singapore, Zurich, or London today. Eventually, the out-of-stock signs will be everywhere. What we're witnessing is the premium explosion, when the lowest priced real coin is $38, while the silver price on paper is $28. If you listen to the market, the paper price isn't real. The reality tax is this $10 difference. A disturbing pattern emerges from the forensic data collected by the three biggest mints in the world: the United States Mint, the Royal Mint, and the Perth Mint. They are having a hard time finding places to buy empty silver planets. The scarcity of raw materials is limiting production, not a lack of demand. The delivery periods for thousands of industrial bars have changed from 48 hours to 3 months, according to large-scale distributors. An example of a broken supply chain would be this. Users in the industrial sector are increasingly avoiding the conventional retail channels in favor of dealing with miners, or worse, using exchange vaults. That 93% depletion number is a result of this. Standing at the Comex delivery window demanding their metal are the big tech corporations and defense contractors. That is not their purpose in being there. Their factories and missiles depend on their presence. No matter how high the price climbs, these strong hands will never sell back into the market. The secondary supply is collapsing before our eyes. People used to liquidate their old silverware and jewelry whenever the price of silver increased, which helped to stabilize the market in earlier decades. However, because to the 20 years of flat prices, that scrap supply has been nearly depleted. The system is not going to be saved by some secret reserve. Mines are getting on in years. Organizational grades are going down. Plus, the price of the fuel and the workers needed to mine the metal is going through the roof. Now more than ever, the financial industry and the industrial sector are heading straight for each other. The banks are one group that is attempting to preserve the currency by maintaining low prices. The opposite side of the coin is the tangible world that would collapse in the absence of silver. Inevitably, one of these forces will fail. The ultimate victor is always physics, not money, as any forensic scientist will tell you. When the vault doors open, they show a hole that won't be filled by digital printing. We have gone over the proof of the empty vaults, the industrial famine, and the transition of geopolitics from theory to practice. The inevitable endgame must now be faced. The fiat system's escape hatch is getting smaller by the day as we near a liquidity trap. This is not a unique incident where the vaults are depleted by 93%. As far as the global pricing structure is concerned, this is the last red flag. We need to be ready for 3 main eventualities, according to the forensic data. Controlled resets occur in scenario A. Instead of using metal to settle paper contracts, the exchanges will try to use cash. Invoking force majeure, they will inform the silver holders that the vault is empty and give them a check for the spot price, even though the actual metal is selling for 3 or 4 times that amount on the illicit market. A market discontinuity is depicted in scenario B. The silver market can freeze up for a few days or weeks if prices suddenly jump from $30 to $60 or $80, cutting off entry for everyone waiting on the sidelines. In the worst-case scenario, silver is the principal means of wealth preservation while the banking system undergoes a bail-in, and the purchase power of paper money completely collapses against all physical assets. I want to assure you that my intention is not to instill fear, but rather to offer clarity amidst the overwhelming digital cacophony. No one can be considered an investor if they keep their money in a system that has 350 times more claims than it does assets. You owe money to a company that went bankrupt. You might think of the reality tax and physical premiums as the market signaling that there is a limited time to buy actual security. Disbelieve what I say. The feel of the metal's weight should reassure you. While their public reports tell you one thing, the bank's hidden vaults tell you something else entirely. There is a link below if you would like to access the complete dossier that includes the warehouse data and the technical breakdown of the delivery settings. Your money is not being advised by this. It is a manual for making it through a time of tremendous structural change. Always keep an eye on the numbers and your valuables close by. Only individuals capable of distinguishing between a price and a value will be able to weather the coming systemic change. Take care.